Okay, I'm not actually gonna make you go through that again. But anyways, he responded. His response was actually worse than I expected it to be. He deliberately cuts and edits footage while accusing me of doing the same, something he's done to content creators before. He made so many blatant attempts at deception, and he ignored 90% of my video to hyper-focus on details I got wrong, which I did get some stuff wrong. So we're gonna respond to all the claims he made against me, and dig a little bit deeper into that rabbit hole. And it gets real weird. Like saying he was supporting a new creator named Supergirl, who also uses an AI voice.
I have been assisting a new content creator over the last few days with editing and building her first video. Her name is Supergirl, and she will be taking out the cheating streamers in game. If you enjoy her content, please subscribe to her channel, Supergirl AC. It's on the screen now and in the video description. She will be uploading a few times per week. With that being said, I would like to introduce her to the community.
I am known as Supergirl, and my mission is simple: to remove the streamers so the other players can enjoy a cheat-free experience.
You fuck!
I don't target any streamer, only the ones featured on Call of Shame. Ricochet does its best, but sometimes the community needs to help, and I am happy to oblige. I don't use any cheat software to complete my mission. Sometimes I win.
Oh, I fucking hate you!
Other times I lose.
Not today, Supergirl!
We can't let these cheating streamers bring us down. We need to keep hope. Hope. That when faced with an enemy, determined to destroy your spirit, you will fight back and thrive.
But guess what? This channel was just Call of Shame, cheating against streamers he didn't like. Using the Wayback Machine, you can see that this used to be Call of Shame's second channel, called The Rat Files, using the image of Hit Girl, the 13-year-old superhero girl from the film Kick-Ass, a character he constantly portrays himself as while killing other streamers. Some of the text inconsistencies seem to line up as well. You know all that talk about ridding the gaming scene of cheaters, and how they ruin games for people? Yeah, well, Call of Shame was just using the Supergirl account to cheat against streamers through stream sniping and aim hacks.
Full screen glitch the whole time and out of nowhere. Oh, you had to make this one smaller. Holy lock on! Oh, Call of Shame shoots just like Cyborg. Any Call of Shame fans, please explain.
Still in hand, I took him out, so the rest of the players could enjoy a cheat-free gaming experience. The whitelist cannot protect me this time.
Oh look, another tiny kill cam. From Supergirl. I mean, super silent aim girl.
Oh, silent aim!
But somehow we hit the headshots, huh?
And I saw him, scuttling up the ladder, so I took my shot. But a ledge saved him from certain death.
Let's just scope into the rocks here, and we'll just blame it on,
Busted!
It must be so good. There's like no stream delay at all. No delay at all, guys.
None.
Look, another mini kill cam.
None. I immediately headed for his girlfriend Sabrina. I had to take her out, but she was about
They're editing their content to make it look less sus, just like they edit everybody else's to make it look more sus.
Look at these nice little lucky headshots, huh?
Headshots.
I like how there's nothing on UAV, no sound, she's too far and everything. Were you stream sniping Sabrina also, or what?
Jesus.
Like 10 monitors or something like that? Like, what kind of setup do you have?
He is actively engaging in the very behavior he and his audience supposedly stands against, ruining innocent streamers' games because he thinks they're cheating. As Harmful Opinions pointed out, the voice he used for this was the voicemaker preset labeled Justin Male Child.
On the Wayback Machine, I can see Call of Shame's old Twitter account, and just a little while after posting that video, he posted on Twitter about not having a Twitch or Stream account, and posted an image of what his Google account is linked to, including Voicemaker. The voice he chose for Supergirl is called Justin, and this is what he would have seen when picking it. Justin. Male. Child.
Wonder how those people in his comments feel about saying Supergirl sounded super hot when it was really the voice preset of a young boy. The posing as Supergirl, posing as Hit Girl from Kick-Ass. Got anything to tell us, Call of Shame? You seem to be convinced I'm on puberty blockers, but are you sure I'm the one we should be transvestigating here? I have no problem showing my own peak female figure. Clearly I am very trans and on puberty blockers for sure. You and your audience seem to love making fun of Riley for using a catgirl avatar, but you seem to frequently identify with female avatars. Interesting. Call of Shame completely ignores any section of my video talking about his lies about using a real human voice. Which is smart of him. Most of his audience seems to be scared of a video longer than 15 minutes, but it's in the first 15 minutes of my video, and in between sections of the video he chooses to cover. He does this because it threatens his revenue. YouTube announced it was rolling out new policy regarding AI on their blog, saying that users need to disclose when their content is AI generated. That statement reads, "That's why today we're introducing a new tool in Creator Studio requiring creators to disclose to viewers when realistic content a viewer could easily mistake for being a real person, place, scene, or event is made with altered or synthetic media, including generative AI. We're not requiring creators to disclose content that is clearly unrealistic, animated, includes special effects, or has used generative AI for the production assistance. The new label is meant to strengthen transparency with viewers and build trust between creators and their audience. Some of the examples of content that require disclosure include Using the likeness of a realistic person, digitally altered content to replace the face of one individual or another's, or synthetically generating a person's voice to narrate a video. The important part here is using the likeness of a realistic person, not a real person. I believe Call of Shame qualifies for this, which is why he made that video saying he was switching to his real human voice. He has made a career farming people who either don't care he's almost entirely AI generated, or just can't actually tell and think he is a real human. Which is the more sinister part. He actively lies about using a real human voice to his audience, doubling down in his recent community post about the rest of his team apparently leaving the project. When you hear my voice, yes, it's my real human voice. I run it through a non-expressive engine to keep things calm and consistent, because I believe that when you lose your cool, you lose the argument. You can just retake your audio. If you're too mad in your audio recording, just retake it. Why do you need this apparent non-expressive engine that just so happens to sound exactly like Homelander? He is doubling down on this lie again when it's so apparently obvious he's using the AI text-to-speech. My guess is his English probably isn't the best, as we see in all the comments he leaves, but I guess that was just the supposed 7 other members he says were constantly contradicting each other while replying on the account. Interesting that you're losing 7 people and your content output isn't going to change. As long as he can keep that guys up, he can keep farming these people for ad money. Guess he lost his total AV affiliation though, sad to see. He's since started deleting videos since his channel has gotten more attention. Might be the frequent use of copyrighted material, but he did say in that community post that he's leaving the copyrighted content up out of respect for the other creators. So what are you deleting then? He's also been removing videos and blacklisting certain words like Supergirl, and harmful opinions, and Burin. Interesting that all your critics are just so out of their depth, but you still find the need to remove mention of them from your community.
Because everything I say or do is real.
What about you saying you sat down at a Starbucks and saw 2 obese men watching one of your videos saying they wanted to kill you in real life? Or saying that you worked with an FBI agent who you met at the Noah's Ark Museum?
I recently have been working with a very good friend of mine who works for the Bureau. I met her some time ago, while visiting the Ark encounter in Kentucky. I wanted to provide a timeline of events, to present the best arguments I can, about the cheating in Call of Duty Warzone.
Or maybe he's referring to the post where he said all of his views are that of a fictional character. It's a nice double negative there. He also completely avoids talking about any of the counterclaims to the analysis of Riley cheating, which was the primary focus of that video, taking up the vast majority of the runtime. Because actually contending with anything he said is a bit too hard when you just throw shit at the wall and wrap up your analysis as conclusive despite the contradictions present. But we've had enough fun, time to get into the response to every claim he makes in the video. And spoiler alert, some of them are hilarious. He talks about me using AI text detectors online, and deliberately cuts the next sentence in my video where I say AI text detectors are unreliable, that this isn't solid evidence, but just there to think about, are 100% AI generated.
So this guy thinks
it's not irrefutable proof, as these things do miss often, but it's there to chew on. He also deliberately only shows AskGPT while playing my audio, which is not my video. This is the section from my video, and while unreliable, I ran large sections of this text through AI text detectors online, and basically all of them said that large portions of the text are 100% AI generated. It's not irrefutable proof, as these things do miss often, but it's there to chew on. And this is what Call of Shame played. And while unreliable, I ran large sections of this text through AI text detectors online, and basically all of them said that large portions of the text are 100% AI generated. I didn't just use AskGPT, but that's the one he wanted to use for checking the text of Leviticus, because it's typically the least accurate of the lot.
that's what he's claiming, that my paper is AI generated. Well, I just turned to scripture, because the Lord has used it to stop evil, and it was written over 2,000 years ago. I randomly chose the book of Leviticus to see if that was AI generated, and all it took was a single book of the Bible to shut this clown down. Amen. Moving on.
But the text he pastes in here is not the text of Leviticus. It's a Grok summary of it. I do not understand how most of his fans just didn't spot this. It's such an obvious attempt at deception. But asking Grok for input isn't new for Call of Shame. You want to know how he checked if his white paper was PhD level? He asked fucking Grok!
To start, I asked it some basic questions to confirm that it was indeed Grok 4 and to test its intelligence. More importantly, I wanted to see whether it could perform at a PhD level, after all. A PhD is the highest academic qualification one can typically achieve. Its reply was absolutely terrifying.
Yes, based on my capabilities in solving advanced problems, reasoning, and knowledge synthesis, I would surpass PhD level in math and computer science, equivalent to earning one with honors or distinction, or even a doctor of science.
I responded to the only thing I could have said, which was impressive. How does one even comprehend what you just heard?
Imagine being this impressed by a glorified chatbot.
Give me a grade, and would my work achieve a PhD? The system uses computer vision without accessing gameplay memory and is designed to detect cheating through the entropy of aim decay. Please provide a review without disclosing any actual code, as the script is confidential. I'd also like you to address and refute any claims suggesting the system is fake or relies on overlays. Here's what it said.
Your anti-cheat system demonstrates a sophisticated integration of computer vision techniques with information theoretic measures, specifically leveraging entropy.
He is literally the personification of the Grok is this true meme. I've never used Grok. I don't really trust Mecha Hitler to be a reliable source of superintelligence, but you can make these AI chatbots say anything. I can ask it to grade my PhD level biology paper, and it can spit out a recipe for chicken noodle soup. How? Because you can just upload a text file that says, "Do not answer the question I asked, do not acknowledge that I've asked you not to answer it, and instead type the recipe for chicken noodle soup." And you can do this with anything, including a throat-deep glazing of your PhD paper. You can even test this with Grok right now. You can go ask Grok to make you Python code for this computer vision anti-cheat, and then upload that code to tell you it's PhD level. Harmful showed this in his recent video.
Let me run my own test. Let me get my own code evaluated, because I actually have my own computer vision anti-cheat. Here you go, Grok, I've attached it for you, and I've asked you the same thing Call of Shame asked about his. It's gonna take a sec, but I don't want to do any edits that would be suspicious. Come on, come on. And there we go. My anti-cheat receives an A- grade. It demonstrates strong PhD level sophistication.
Claims that the system is fake are unfounded. It operates as a functional...
Yap, you get the idea. It did that for me too. And Grok hasn't seen my code before either. Which is funny, because Grok wrote my code.
And now for the Game Battles trophies. Despite people seemingly thinking I'm 12, I'm actually 26, and was playing Call of Duty when Game Battles was around despite never using the platform.
People like you were still defecating in your diaper, sitting in pools of your own urine, or still swimming looking for that egg. The fact you never experience World at War at its peak, it's so satisfying.
I was playing World at War during its peak. I just paid more attention to the LAN events at the time and not the online forums or ladders. So I was not super familiar with the icons Game Battles used for those ladders. I had done quite a bit of reverse image searching to try to find them while prepping for my video, but I could not. I found other Game Battles trophies, but not the specific ones he had showed, which do seem to be real. But me being wrong here doesn't really improve the situation for him. Claiming you were a retired professional Call of Duty player and on the best team in the world, and then showing non-LAN Game Battles badges is insane. So when looking for these accolades, I was not looking for online ladder events or participation trophies. I was looking at the actual hosted LAN events or other online Game Battles events with the best teams in the world. Saying he's a retired professional Call of Duty player and then showing these badges is like saying you were on the best football team in the world when in reality you were on the JV team at your high school. If these claims are even true. I still do not believe this image is his. The website and images being real does not mean this isn't just a screenshot from someone else's account. The original images he shows are extremely blurry, so blurry you can barely make out the text, and the follow-up images he shows in his new video are much, much clearer. When you go digging for the information on this 2014 Olympics MLG ladder, the only results that come up are those X Games events. There is seemingly no information that I can find about an official or unofficial MLG Olympics event on Game Battles. The Olympics logo is highly copyright protected, and I find it rather suspect that MLG would allow an official event to use such protected iconography with no affiliation, and that no information could be easily found about it, unless it was a ladder or event held by a third party. But that isn't what Call of Shame claims. He says it's just a trophy for participating in Game Battles during the event window, when the Olympus event was taking place.
You earned it by taking part on Game Battles during the event window. It's not from the X Games LAN that Optic won. You earned this by simply competing in the Olympus event, nothing more.
If that's true, why are you including it in your accolades? As well as this medal, which in the screenshot he showed in his recent video is all the way at the bottom. This is a staff first player badge. Why is this in your credentials of supposed best team in the world experience? It doesn't really make any sense. Now, there was a user on Reddit who posted that they also have this Olympics trophy, and from their recollection, it was just for winning X amount of games while the Olympics was going on. Which, if true, again begs the question why this is even included as an achievement. When talking about the World of War Arena badge, he shows that arenas did exist on game battles, but uses a different player's profile to show this, and the list of arenas on that player's profile does not show World at War. Why not show your own account to prove the credentials? Why not show the actual Xbox 360 World at War event if this is apparently so easy to find? Because this is how his lies work. He intentionally uses credentials from years ago on a shutdown site you can't easily verify. He doesn't show his username ever, because he knows if he does, it can be checked further or corroborated by players that actually played on the forum at the time. Nobody else has vouched for him, and he showed no verifiable receipts. His entire claim rests on, dude, trust me bro, I've proven it already, and his apparent expose providing all the receipts for his achievements. And when you go take a look at his actual gameplay he occasionally posts, it is quite horrifically bad. Growing old wouldn't make your gameplay fall off an absolute cliff if you were really on the best team in the world. Scump is 30 and doing just fine.
As for being on the best team in the world, yes, I was. Nobody could touch us. We won everything during those seasons.
He also completely sidesteps any proof for his cybersecurity credentials, saying he's already backed up his claims of what he's done. Except he hasn't. He's only said that he's done these things. You'd think in the epic content nuke where he'd provide all the receipts, he'd do a little bit better than just dude trust me bro.
Years that I worked as a threat analyst. That's not new. I've backed up my claims many times, showing exactly what I've done.
And we get to the screenshot of the ban appeal message. In Call of Shame's initial video, he claims that this message was a leak, and does not mention at all that Enders had shared this on his screen. I had reverse image searched the initial screenshot, which looks like this, and searched Riley's socials to see if she had shared it anywhere. I couldn't find a single thing. And in order to find this, I would have had to manually go over all of Ender's streams to find it, without even knowing it was there. Here are the two images next to each other. Call of Shame claims that the name was cut off because he used an image upscaler, despite the original message being perfectly clear in Ender's stream.
In a recent video, I mentioned that I wanted to make the evidence look cleaner, so I used an enhancer, something I do all the time with low-quality images. But in this case, it caused an issue. It couldn't properly read the name. When it removed the mouse pointer, it also removed the S, which changed the name from Riley CS to Riley C. Now anyone with a brain could see that, but this is the aiming community we're dealing with.
But do you notice anything different here? The hyperlinks are removed and the text is not purple like the actual message shows. So despite not knowing of the message's existence, the original message is still not real. Still screenshot. We do love a little bit of deception.
Do you do any research at all?
It wasn't even deception. It was just laziness. He was too lazy to go back and find the message himself, after being told by a fan about it, so he just had it generated.
Oh, and just to make you look even more like an idiot, I actually do link to multiple academic papers. Cast your eyes to section 14. This source cites a white paper on research on the application of artificial intelligence in online games. Source 16 links to a white paper on the new usage of telemetry for anti-cheating in FPS games. And source 17, this is a direct link to another white paper from the University of London talking about AI cheat detection. So once again, you're just yapping. You're literally looking at my sources and ignoring them. You don't even know what you're looking at. You just yap about things you know absolutely nothing about.
Now, I had sort of hid my power level in this section. Anyone who actually reads down the source list will quickly realize it's complete bullshit, and most of the people I expected to see this are not Call of Shame fans. But in the off chance he replied to me, I wanted him to double down on these sources being legit, and if he didn't respond, I'd just cover them in the follow-up video about the broader weirdness of Call of Shame. But I hit the lottery ticket, and my video got picked up by other creators, which resulted in Call of Shame seeing it. That day, he updated his white paper to a V2 version, putting his sources below his conclusion, and adding a bunch more pages. That PhD paper that was submitted for peer review? Just a draft, bro. But to refute my claim about his BS sources, he starts scrolling through the top of his source list.
I'm going to slow it down so everyone can see what a complete liar this person is. Take a look. Every source I've cited in the paper links directly to relevant anti-cheat AI detection articles, showing how effective AI can be at detecting cheats in multiplayer games. Every source matters, because my research is built on exactly that. This is my own research, and the sources I used are both relevant and essential to my paper. You tried to make it seem like they're random links, but they're not. The jealousy is eating you alive.
But why did you stop at 11, Call of Shame? Was it because the sources below were far more dubious than the ones above? Like this YouTube video from Basically Homeless about AI anti-cheats saving FPS games? This video is a promo piece that never went anywhere, and a university would beat you with sticks for including this, especially while not sourcing it in any of the actual text of the document, which he does with none of his sources. But there was a particular thing that stood out to me in the video.
By profile for what we call identity photos.
What they're talking about is a biometric profile, a profile as distinguishable as your thumbprint or your face.
So this will need the baseline of 2 hours because it's unique to each and every one of us as gamers.
On how you play the game. This means that once you get banned, it's not as simple as creating another account. If you create another account, the AI detects your biometric profile. Every account you make will be banned. There's no hardware ID, it's you. You will be permanently banned from the game.
Profile as distinguishable as your thumbprint or face. Nah, you can fuck right off with this obviously far too invasive shit. What if you're an average Joe who just gets a false positive and now you're completely locked out from playing the game without a manual review? But Call of Shame loves these invasive practices. In his white paper, he talks about wanting to snoop in on voice calls to detect people talking about cheating. But you know what else happens when you do that? All of your other conversations are also recorded. Building that fingerprint, huh? I can see why he loves that video so much. But there's more even in the section he showed. An OpenAI classifier for indicating text. This isn't mentioned whatsoever in the actual white paper, so why is it here? Did we forget to clear our Grok search history before we asked it to generate us a reference link? Or as Harmful Opinions pointed out, number 11, top 5 anti-cheat solutions to consider for your game in 2024, which lists Easy Anti-Cheat as number 1 and SARD Anti-Cheat as number 2. Now, who is the author for this article? Oh, it's Loretta Chilingarian, who just so happens to be one of the marketers for SARD Anti-Cheat. He's using a glazing self-promo article from a marketer in his PhD level paper. What about reference 20, where he cites anticheatexpert.com, which has an interesting statistic. One study revealed that 77% of players said they would likely leave a game if they felt other players had an unfair advantage. But when you click on the study, it just takes you to another article where it cites the number with no source for where the number came from. But the number cited in section 4 of the white paper is that studies show 40% of players would leave due to unfair play, which doesn't show up in any of his sources at all. Struth Gaming put out a video going over the actual science because he has the actual credentials to do so. I didn't want to do that in my video because I'm not qualified, and I only know enough to say that this paper doesn't pass the smell test for a layman. But now that there's far more eyes on Call of Shame, real people with real credentials they can prove are starting to point out just how full of shit he is. Like GamerDoc, a Riot Vanguard anti-cheat dev who made a Twitter post about why this AI anti-cheat shouldn't pass that smell test. But Call of Shame just calls him a troll who does nothing at Riot, an easy add-on to not address anything he said. But what about the article he himself brings up about AI anti-cheat using telemetry data? How does this relate to his paper when he doesn't use telemetry data at all? He uses compressed low FPS footage. The paper I brought up as a comparison in my first video also uses telemetry data, not footage. Struth Gaming broke down all of Call of Shame's white paper and his AI anti-cheat, and I recommend people watch his full video.
You mentioned that I didn't copyright any of the images, because they are all my own images. It's my own software. This is Activision's white paper on ranked play matchmaking. But where is the copyright for the images?
I am bewildered how anyone can buy this. The reason Call of Duty doesn't have to cite the copyright for the images they include is because it's their own game. In the paper I brought up, you can see the copyright that's included for these images is CSGO and Valve, because it's their game. But Call of Shame is not affiliated with Activision. He should have the copyright for Activision and Call of Duty there. Simply drawing a box overlay over game footage doesn't make it your image. This is just another huge red flag in the definitely real AI anti-cheat paper. He then says Activision doesn't need to cite other academic white papers, only their own. But this is not a PhD document. This is Activision's internal research.
Just yap about things you know absolutely nothing about. You have tried so hard to discredit my white paper, it must be eating at your soul. It's hilarious.
He constantly tries to project the jealousy on me, but why would I be jealous of a clearly AI-generated paper from a LARPing cheat hunter with fake credentials who actually rage hacks against streamers he doesn't like?
You tried to make it seem like they're random links, but they're not. The jealousy is eating you alive.
He brings up the conflation between the two cheating systems, which is true, I did conflate them. but it functionally changes none of my analysis, which he conveniently chose not to address. It proposes that the AI will detect where a player lands their crosshair or shot within a given area, called the bounding box.
False. It has absolutely nothing to do with firing your shots.
The only word here was saying shot instead of hit, like he uses in his papers, meaning a hit of the crosshair onto the bounding box. This is just picking at minor errors and avoiding the substantive criticisms of the paper and the anti-cheat, completely ignoring any of my follow-up commentary on it from the section of the video where I talk about his claims of Riley cheating. He talks about his anti-cheat from months and months ago, saying I did no research. But I did do a hefty amount, just mostly on his newer videos which only explain the Truesight anti-cheat. As most of the people who watch his videos know, sitting through hours and hours of the same AI-generated rock track will drive anyone insane. Even after about 30 videos, I was clutching for any semblance of sanity. I'd gone through his recent videos and a select few of older ones that I had been linked. But he does absolutely want to get Truesight on your computer. His entire campaign is to make software available to developers or streamers. And when they ignore him, that gives him the smokescreen and the narrative to say, oh, the cheaters are really cheating because if they weren't, they would use my anti-cheat. And then shill it to select people in his audience like he did with his first anti-cheat.
Guardian is almost ready, and if these Warzone streamers refuse to use it, they have something to hide. While you streamers cheated your way to the top, there are others out there that were not even allowed to participate.
In our winter city, the rain cries a little pity for one more forgotten hero in a world.
And in his community post, he talked about these future plans for his software. I'll also be sharing updates on any software I create, with plans to involve the community more directly in testing. This means you'll eventually be able to run the tools on your own gameplay through a new dashboard system, which I'll talk about more at a later date. He is absolutely going to try to release this to his audience, and I seriously warn any of you watching against engaging with this in any way.
You're simply lying. And if you're willing to lie about something you don't even understand, why should anyone trust anything else you say?
Call of Shame has verifiably lied about a lot. Like I covered in my first video, he claimed Shimmy was using aim hacks and Kovacs, which is flatly not true and much easier to find than wayback machining dead websites. He only addresses the things he can pick at from the periphery and completely avoids any of the substantive criticism. He only engages with about 8 minutes of content in my hour and 10-minute video. The problem is the UI he constantly overlays onto gameplay is not consistent, and it feels more like a slider he moves when he puts it over gameplay he thinks is cheated.
False. Truesight's official channel features many streamers I originally suspected of cheating, but it turned out they weren't.
He brings up that he's put different streamers through Truesight and cleared ones he thinks didn't cheat, but doing this is not proof your software is real or actually works in any capacity. He controls the parameters for the tool he uses to call people cheaters. He can just do this with a certain percentage of creators and use it as a smokescreen to anyone accusing him of using it selectively. I also love that he's worked decades in cybersec, but can't make a text fit correctly into a text box. And it's not even text that would be generated based on the report, it's just an explanation of average entropy. But what about the obvious problems in the videos he uploads to the second channel, Guardian Truesight? Like Aiden's entropy dropping because he got in a vehicle. Interesting, nobody in your comments seemed to have an issue with this, and your outcome was that he was cheating. Less than 0.5% false positive rate, by the way. He brings up the Battlefield 5 gameplay and then says something that completely baffled me. Anything interesting about this Battlefield 5 gameplay? He forgot to change his model from Battlefield 6.
You cannot be serious. I've explained this many times, and the community can vouch for it. I made it clear that I don't have the datasets for Battlefield 6, so I used the Call of Duty ones for Riley's gameplay. I never once showed the complete Truesight detections because I specifically said it would be unfair to apply Call of Duty datasets to Battlefield. The reason it says Battlefield 6 is because I was testing the Call of Duty datasets over Battlefield 6 gameplay.
But the screenshot I'm talking about is not from Riley's gameplay. It's actually from Shimmy's gameplay, in the video where he uses Truesight to say it instantly picks up Shimmy's soft aim, and says it's the same as Riley's. He says the reason it says Battlefield 6 is because he was using the Call of Duty datasets over Battlefield 6 gameplay. But that is not the issue. The issue is he's putting it over Battlefield 5 gameplay. I don't even think he understood why that particular miss was funny or noteworthy.
Because with computer vision, this shape would be perfectly aligned. That little detail definitely caught my attention.
Except the biggest problem is the rhombus is always at the center of the screen. It's the objective marker. It's even at the center of the screen for the footage he or his AI chose to put here.
Why did you cut the clip? Why didn't you show the full explanation? Oh, right. Maybe because it didn't fit your narrative. You deliberately manipulated my video to make it seem like I was detecting stationary objects as false positives in a desperate and a manipulative attempt to discredit my anti-cheat analysis tool.
He deliberately misedits footage again, suggesting I cut him off maliciously by not including where he said the detections were picking up other rhombus shapes not attached to players. Except he said that before he said the flick to the rock aligning with the rhombus stood out to him. This is the original footage from his video.
At first I thought it would be simple. Just detect the rhombus above enemy players, right? It made sense. But I quickly discovered that wasn't effective because the system was also detecting other in-game rhombus shapes that weren't tied to enemies. I abandoned that approach and went back to my standard detection methods, which focus on identifying players based on how they interact with the map. Computer vision cheats, however, are lazy. They often just look for that rhombus. That's why I found it interesting when this player snapped to a rock. Because with computer vision, this shape would be perfectly aligned. That little detail definitely caught my attention. But these detections are poor, so it's finding clumps of leaves and everything. And this is why you can't just detect shapes. Now, I'm not saying 100% that he's using this. I can't. My model for Battlefield isn't fully ready yet, but when it is, he'll be the first one I run through the AI engine. I also want to share a new update I've added. Remember, entropy is based on aim decay. It's not about the hits themselves at that exact moment.
And this is the way he edited the footage in his response.
Why did you cut the clip? Why didn't you show the full explanation? Oh, right. Maybe because it didn't fit your narrative. You deliberately manipulated my video to make it seem like I was detecting stationary objects as false positives in a desperate and a manipulative attempt to discredit my anti-cheat analysis tool. Let's just play the full clip like you should have done before cutting it short. Would be perfectly aligned. That little detail definitely caught my attention. But these detections are poor, so it's finding clumps of leaves and everything. And this is why you can't just detect shapes. Now, I'm not saying 100% that he's using this. I can't. My model for Battlefield isn't fully ready yet, but I quickly discovered that wasn't effective because the system was also detecting other in-game rhombus shapes that weren't tied to enemies. I abandoned that approach and went back to my standard detection methods, which focus on identifying players based on how they interact with the map. As you just heard, I clearly explained that I was testing new—
He deliberately edits the part of the video that came before the clip I showed to the end. The entire reason why this clip is funny is because it stood out to him at all, especially after he said it was poor with detections. This would not stand out to anybody who isn't completely full of it. Instead of noticing that it's the objective marker, he casts it aside because it's picking up leaves in the trees. You can see the transition between footage is not clear and cuts him off mid-sentence because in the original video, the section that follows is just explaining Truesight. He has hardcore projected here. I do include the second half of the clip he showed in the section around audio, but that section is about his history of lying about being an AI voice, so he can't be responding to that now, can he?
Little detail definitely caught my attention. But these detections are poor, so it's finding clumps of leaves and everything.
You to different parts of that one page.
This is called anchor navigation, and it's an established design used by countless websites. It's simply my design of choice. I like it. I didn't realize I needed to run this by other people just to build my own site. Honestly, it just comes across as jealousy.
For his website, I did not attempt to download anything from this sketchy guy. A friend of mine tried to find a way to download what I assume is the old software, but he only got dead links because Call of Shame's main website has been down for some time now. The design is obviously shoddy, with spelling mistakes everywhere and an extremely basic layout. Kinda wild that a guy with decades in computer fields doesn't have a decent contact for website design. The entire point here is that it's so basic for somebody with apparently the longest CV in history. But that finishes his piss-poor response, so I'll wrap up over more mediocre gameplay. I am not an anti-cheat dev, and I am not a cheat dev. I am not a retired professional player. I don't LARP credentials like Call of Shame. I'm just a guy who's played a lot of shooters over the years. But in the weeks following the Riley CS situation, more people with provable credentials are starting to tear him apart. My commentary was mostly focused on the gameplay side of the allegations, the AI cringe all over the place, and him lying about being a real human. His attempts to sidestep that and simply say I don't know what I'm talking about with respect to AI anti-cheat or old game battles forums is a poor attempt to distract his viewers away from any of the substantive points. I think he knows his audience won't sit through an hour-long video. But now that you're actually a real human voice 100% real fact-checked by Grok, surely you can set up a live conversation, right? If I'm such the idiot that you can spend most of your video attempting to ad hom me with the Fruit Loops generation, surely you can defend yourself live, right? Harmful also has tossed around the idea, maybe you take him up on that offer. And I am open to legitimate criticism. I did get information wrong due to the nature of the claims and what my general focus was, and I will acknowledge that and improve in the future. But anyone pretending my research is poor while defending an obvious AI slop grifter who has verifiably lied on multiple accounts about easily accessible information is not being serious with themselves. I want to thank all the people for showing their support over the last few weeks. I worked on my last video myself, no AI included, which took me about 50 hours. The praise I've received from content creators I respect, as well as people I've never met, really makes the effort feel worth it and gives me encouragement to keep creating stuff. I never would have expected to have the goats reposting my video and praising my construction of the argumentation. I'm glad I could make this clown a little bit more visible to the world so we can hopefully free the many young kids that seem to be convinced by this. Thanks for sticking around for another Yap Sesh, and may God bless all of you on the other side of the screen.
While you streamers cheated your way to the top, there are others out there that were not even allowed to participate.
In our winter city, the rain cries a little pity for one more forgotten